All right, Sergio, we made it. It's cold. It's going to take me a few minutes to warm up here on the show because my jaw is still frozen from that walk from the hotel.
You know, following you is like the blind leading the blind, man. You're from here. You're from Boston. You should be accustomed to this cold weather. Now I understand. I really do understand why you're so cold and bitter, rhythmless. You grew up in this freaking weather, man. It's like, ugh, I would hate to live here, man. I would hate it. I'm an LA kid, born and raised. Yeah, it's terrible.
I can tell you are, because how many times did you nearly fall down in the 24 hours you've been here?
I'm not accustomed to the sleet.
You're rolling your Asics in the street.
Terrible. Terrible, man. I want to get back to the summer weather, but come on, man. Let's talk some boxing.
All right, we got a few days here getting ready for Saturday night's big event at Madison Square Garden. Ring 6, headlined by Teofimo Lopez against Shakur Stevenson. Loaded card, top to finish. Loaded weekend, too. We've got a major event in Puerto Rico, 154-pound unification fight with Xander Zayas and Abbas Baru. That fight happening down in Puerto Rico. We're going to start with the main event on Saturday, and that is Teofimo Lopez defending his lineal WBO and Ring Magazine championship against Shakur Stevenson, who is currently the reigning WBC 135-pound champion and unquestionably the top guy at 135 pounds. The odds makers have made Shakur a pretty sizable favorite going to this fight. Surprisingly sizable, considering he's moving up in weight. And Teofimo has been great since he moved up to 140. Beat Josh Taylor a couple of fights earlier. Are you surprised, I guess? I'll start there. Are you surprised to see the odds makers leaning so heavily in favor of Shakur?
I am. That's why I just asked you when we came on air. I thought it was going to be maybe more even odds, but 2-1 favoring Shakur. That goes to show you that the book knows what they're looking at. Shakur's hard to hit. He's one of these southpaws that's in and out style. He doesn't stay on the inside to fight long enough for Teo to get anything going to body shots or even laying a glove on Shakur. Shakur is frustrating. He's been doing that since the Olympics. It's hard to lay one punch on him, let alone two. Teofimo needs to be punching something in order for him to get his swag, to get his athleticism going. Because when he starts touching, when he starts going and really vibing, Teofimo's a beast, especially against southpaws. His two biggest wins are against southpaws. Shakur's a southpaw, but he's an in-and-out southpaw. He's not a Lomachenko stay in front of your face, getting angles southpaw. He's not a grinder like Josh Taylor. This dude's a cheetah, and it's hard to catch cheetahs. And Shakur, I understand why he's a favorite. This dude's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I think people, or the odds makers at least, are probably looking at some recent Teofimo fights and the guys that he has struggled against. Sandor Martin, a very defensive-minded fighter, Teofimo struggled against him. Jermaine Ortiz, who fought a very defensive-minded fight, that was a tough fight for Teofimo. If you're an offensive-oriented fighter, even a great one, like a Lomachenko or like a Josh Taylor, Teofimo tends to have a lot of success with you. He is a natural counterpuncher who is really athletic. So he can get out of range quickly, throw those counter shots. He's very intelligent in the ring, gets more intelligent, seems, with every fight. But if you're a defensive-minded guy that forces Teofimo to come forward, that's when he gets out of his comfort zone. I think that's how Shakur's going to fight. Like, I remember the opening press conference where it seemed like Teofimo Sr. was trying to goad Shakur into fighting more like he did against William Zepeda. I don't think that's going to happen to you. I think Shakur is going to go back into that mode, which made him successful for most of his career, which is fighting defensively, keeping out of range, pot shotting, go to the body. I think that's how he's going to fight.
I agree, but the reason I think he fought like that with Zepeda, not because Zepeda throws 1,000 punches a fight, not because of it had nothing to do with Zepeda. It had everything to do with, I think, Turki Al-Sheikh. He's the one that said this was going to be Tom and Jerry. I really think that Shakur wanted to prove everybody wrong. He didn't want to be labeled as a runner. He didn't want to be the mouse getting run around the house like that. The Tom and Jerry games. So I think he stood against the ropes. He felt the power of Zepeda. It wasn't enough. He has no speed. Zepeda has zero speed, even though he does throw 100 punches around. So he was able to catch and counter pretty easily. Guys like that don't intimidate you. So that's the reason I think he was able to, catch and counter those shots. Teofimo's faster, more athletic. I think he's a stronger puncher than Zepeda, even though Zepeda has a more of an engine and conditioned. Teofimo is so hot and cold though, man. That's the thing I can't rely on him. You know, he can be great one night where he can beat King Kong, then it just look terrible the next night. You know, and guys like that you can't rely on. Guys that question themselves, you know, like we heard Teofimo one time question, do I still got it? You're not supposed to talk like that about yourself, especially when the cameras are on. So it's because he said stuff like that, because we've seen him have, you know, such cold, you know, nights where he doesn't look good. You got to favor Shakur, because Shakur, even in his off nights, he still dominates. He still dominates even on, I mean, what was an off night?
What's the best way to score on Shakur? Like we saw Zepeda do it, but Teofimo doesn't fight like Zepeda. What's the best? If you were trained to fight Shakur Stevenson, what would you do?
I would think that my trainer would train me to try to goad Shakur into coming to me. So make it a boring fight. Make it a boring fight where you're jabbing at the chest, you're double jabbing at the belly, you're not throwing combinations, and you get the boo birds out, get the crowd at the MSG come out and force Shakur to come on his front foot. And I think if Teofimo does that, where he can be on his back foot, we know that's when he's brilliant. So it's going to take a lot of nerve for Teofimo to withstand those early rounds and not get his way, not really go eager to be offensive. Get Shakur to be offensive. Let him make the mistakes. Let him come after you. And if you can do that and make it into a more of a defensive fight where, you know, it's not going to be eye-pleasing, but you can win rounds that way. Someone has to win a round, right? So if Teofimo's just, you know, in front of him and they're both of them are kind of just, what's the word, when they're fencing, they're both fencing with jabs, let Shakur come forward and get aggressive with that right hand. Let's see who throws the right hand first. And then if Teofimo can be on his back foot boxing during those early rounds where Shakur feels he needs to do something, get him out of his element. Maybe you can run him into some mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think even though it doesn't make for the most aesthetically pleasing fight, I think Teofimo's best bet to win is to make Shakur come to him. And that could lead to some very ugly early rounds, because I don't think Shakur wants to do that. I think he's more inclined to lean back, wait for Teofimo to come forward and counterpunch there. And look, it's a battle of natural counterpunchers. That's what it is.
That's actually perfectly said.
Yeah. This is who they are. And I think one of these guys is going to have to be the one that makes the first move to try to score. I also think body punching is going to be big in this fight. Like we know Shakur likes to, you know, out of that southpaw stance, paw upstairs a little bit with the jab, come right down the middle with that straight shot. I think Teofimo, who's going to do it differently, more of a around the guard type of body puncher, go to the sides. I think body punch is going to be big for him too. I think the guy that wins the battle of the body shots in this fight is the guy that's going to have the advantage on the scorecards.
Jabbing and body shots, because you're going to have to break that range of the cheetah, like I like to call him, with Shakur going in and out from that left-handed stance. So if you aim at the chest, the jab's going to be key, right? Both of them are going to want to take advantage of the mid-range and the outside range. But once on the inside, you're right, it has to be body shots. Shakur, he's a single body shot puncher. He'll try to get attention with stabbing you with the right shot. And when he does that, he's more of a dangerous fighter. Teofimo's going to hit you anywhere. He's going to hit you anywhere he can and build points. So this is a type of fight where if Teo does get to the body and he does let go of some combinations, he could steal rounds that way. This is a type of fight where you're going to have to steal rounds. You know, think about Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. You would hear Angelo Dundee, I think it was, he'll say 10 seconds or 30 seconds or stomp on the canvas, and then Ray would flurry and try to steal a round. This is a type of game plan and strategy that I think Teo should bring to the table, where he has to steal rounds or else, you know, he's going to get outboxed.
Be a lot of fun for me to score this fight.
I was going to be terrible. Man, get ready to get criticized on, I want to use a bolder word, a vulgar word, but, you know, you're going to get criticized on your scorecards, man. It's going to be a terrible, terrible fight to score.
One last thing on this fight. The winner is clearly a top 10 pound-for-pound guy. Shakur is already in the top 10. Teofimo's been in the top 10, but I would put him back in if he wins this fight. Shakur said something this week that he believes if he wins, he belongs in the top 4 pound-for-pound. Right now, my top 4 in no particular order: Usyk, Inoue, Bam, Bivol. Do you think Shakur belongs ahead of one of those guys if he beats Teofimo to become a 4-division champion and beating the number 1 guy in that weight class in his first
tough
jump?
One. Definitely, you know, top 5. But I won't take out Bivol. You know, I think Bivol's great. I won't take out Bam. What he's doing is incredible. No, I think he's going to be right outside that
I don't
4
know,
or 5
man.
area.
Bivol Bam, I'd have to think long enough, especially if he wins clean. Beat Cepeda, beat.
Cepeda wasn't a champion.
It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter.
We were talking about the Virgil Boots fight earlier. Like that, who cares if you're not a champion? Cepeda was the #1 guy across 4 of the sanctioning bodies.
Bivol fought for undisputed. You gotta respect all those belts. You gotta respect the histories. So I hear you, man. Look, punch for punch and stylistically, I would put Shakur because I admire Shakur's style. I admire what Shakur did in the Olympics. I admire that he's going up in weight, attempting greatness. That's awesome. But when you're fighting for all the belts and history's on the line, and you do it for a rematch, Bivol and Beterbiev, I'm talking about, you gotta respect that, man. These guys are going. They're putting everything on the line, and that style matchup was so perfect in both fights. In both fights, both of them couldn't figure each other out. It was one guy that was aggressive, grizzly bear on the front foot in Beterbiev, and you got the other guy that's just brilliant on the back foot with his long jab, beautiful footwork, maintains discipline, chess player. These are 2 Russian chess masters with gloves. I won't take them out just to put in one guy.
All right, so you'd have it 5 if he won.
Yeah,
okay.
I would have to.
I'm going to think long and hard about those last 2
That's
spots.
a good one. That analogy with the Russian, that's pretty good.
Do you need a pat on the back?
Boris Spassky.
Great. Okay. All right. Co-main event, pretty good one too. Keyshawn Davis, first fight since that disaster last spring where he was scheduled to fight Edwin De Los Santos. He missed weight by more than 4 pounds. Had that incident in the locker room with Nahir Albright after his brother's fight. Wound up being basically shelved for the second half of the year. He has moved up 240 pounds. He has a new manager. He has a new trainer. And he's got a new opponent here on Saturday. Jamaine Ortiz, who we just talked about, only 2 losses on Jamaine's resume, both to elite guys, Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. I think this is a sneaky, really good fight, and one that could be like maybe a lot more fun in the ring than the main event. What do you think?
I think you're right. You mentioned Nahir Albright. Well, Jermaine Ortiz is very similar in height, in reach, and in the way they think, the way they box. Yeah.
Nahir Albright, I think, what was it? There was that.
He's a Philly guy.
Right, but there was so Keyshawn fought Nahir Albright in the ring as well. And it was overturned. It was like a marijuana thing. It was in Texas, something.
Yeah, but I don't care about what happened afterwards.
Right. But it was a tough fight.
One judge had it even, 95-95.
Yeah, very competitive fight.
So I give Jermaine Ortiz, he's a spoiler, man. Ortiz is a spoiler who's only lost to 2 big names, like you said. One of these guys that if Jermaine Ortiz comes motivated with that experience that he gained, knowing that his style frustrates anybody they put in front of him, this could be a difficult fight for Keyshawn. It really can, man. This is the type of fight where I think Keyshawn he's gonna have to go into his bag and figure something else out. And I really like this fight stylistically. It can be one-sided Keyshawn, or it can be another type of fight like Albright. I was looking at that fight with Albright. I says, man, this is so many similarities with Jermaine Ortiz. This is gonna be a tricky fight, man. Another tricky fight. No knockouts, though. I think most of these fights that we're gonna be watching.
That. We'll get into the rest of the card a little later, but I agree. You could have a lot of decisions on the show. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how Keyshawn comes in. How prepared is he? Is he over everything that happened in 2025? Like, we kind of know what Jermaine Ortiz is. He's pretty consistent, right? Like, whether he's at 135 or 140, he's confident in his own skills. I think Keyshawn has more skills than Jermaine Ortiz. I think he's got a deeper bag than Jermaine Ortiz, but Jermaine is going to, what is he? His nickname is like the technician. Like, he's going to come out and fight technical. He is going to have a disciplined game plan for this fight. And if Keyshawn gets a little bit wild, Jermaine's going to find a way to take advantage of that. Like that Lomachenko fight, people thought Lomachenko was going to blow through him a few years ago. Blow through him. That was a competitive fight. Same thing with Teofimo Lopez. I mean, he's been at 140 pounds since 2023, so he's now comfortable in this weight class. This is going to be really competitive. This is going to be a tough fight, I think, for Keyshawn.
Yep. If Keyshawn gets over aggressive, I think he's going to fall into the hands of Ortiz. Ortiz, I like him because he's a spoiler like me. I watch Jermaine Ortiz, I'm like, I see what he's doing because that's how I beat opponents. I didn't have the biggest power. I didn't have, the natural size, but I figure out a way to decipher opponents. Jermaine Ortiz is that type of fighter.
Jermaine. So we'll get this right before
Jermaine.
Saturday. Jermaine. No. We don't call you Steve.
Jermaine. Okay, he's Dominican. Tricky style. He's a cagey
He's
fighter,
from
man.
Massachusetts is what he is.
But he's Dominican blooded, man.
Shout out Worcester, Mass.
He's a good fighter, man. I watch him fight. I study him. I say, I know what he's doing. I know what this kid's doing, and he frustrates opponents. He gets the better fighter, the stronger fighter, the bigger fighter to make mistakes. Guys like that are hard to beat. I was one of those guys. I was never a power puncher, the big size, but I knew how to frustrate a guy. And I think Jermaine Ortiz can do that to Keyshawn, because Keyshawn, I love him as a fighter, but mentally, we know that he's kind of like kooky sometimes, So if he's not on his game plan all the way to the end, Ortiz can give him fits.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key. And look, he's working with a new trainer, Randall Johnson, who has been in his camp for a long time. So it's not a new voice, but it's not the most experienced championship level trainer. It's not a championship fight, but it's a big fight. He's got to go out there, look good at 140. I thought it was interesting hearing him talking in some interviews this week where he's not looking to stay at 140 for very long. He said he'd stay for a fight against Nahir Albright. He'd stay potentially, I think he said Teofimo, just a big fight at 140. Other than that, he said he's going up to 147. I thought that was interesting. If he, to go straight from 140 to one fight, then up to 147.
Well, that's going to be tricky because I don't think he has the size to fill out 147. 140 is going to be just fine. And the names at 140 are
some great
there.
names. I saw
There's
Rich Hitchens going at it with him at the press conference last month. That's a great fight.
Hitchens is a great fight. Of course, Dalton Smith is the one that everybody wants. Everyone wants to fight a Brit nowadays because they know they fill out those stadiums across the pond. Dalton Smith is a hell of a fighter. No one ever mentions Gary Russell, one of the hardest punchers at 140. Yeah. No one mentions him.
He's fighting in February on the Ryan Garcia-Mario Barros undercard.
Who's he fighting?
He's fighting as mandatory.
Who is that?
Andy Hiroka, I want to say.
I never heard of him, and no one.
Good fighter.
No one heard of that name.
Mandatory title defense.
He's one of the biggest punchers in boxing. No one wants to step in with him.
Southpaw.
And yeah, he's a southpaw too. So, and then you still got Subriel Matias lingering around, coming back again. So yeah, 140 is lit, man. And I think if he could stay at 140 before he makes the jump to 147, he'll serve Keyshawn.
Well, do you have any concerns that if he's talking about needing to go to 147 now, I wonder how hard it's going to be for him to make 140. I mean, he was basically a 140 pounder when he weighed in for that fight against De Los Santos. That fight was called off. Some of those comments about how quickly he needs to move up in weight, that made me wonder, was it going to be a tough weight cut for him to get to 140? Seems like he's in great shape. He's been in great spirits all week long. We saw him in Vegas at the Eddie Cruz Murataya fight, but I'm curious. I think that Keyshawn's skill set is on a higher level than Jermaine Ortiz's, but I think you're certain what you're going to get from Jermaine Ortiz. He's won 2 of his last 3 fights, 2 of them been by knockout. Beat Yomar Alamo 2 fights earlier. So he's like one of those guys that if you're not fighting at an A level, he's going to find a way to beat you. Keyshawn, I think, is going to have to be at an A level to beat this guy on Saturday.
If Keyshawn is the same guy that fought Lemos, he can make a statement and blow him out of there like that. I mean, the way he blew out Lemos was shocking.
Yeah.
Especially
because Lemos we saw against Hitchens.
Hitchens, and he gave Hitchens some fits. He rocked and hurt Hitchens. Richardson Hitchens is now a world champion. So Lemos is one of these sneaky guys that if you don't take him serious, he can knock your block off. What Keyshawn did to him was incredible. So if we get that type of Keyshawn against Jermaine, and if he can blow this guy out of the water, Keyshawn can go to 140, 147. All eyes are going to be on him. That's a statement he needs to make in order for everyone for him to prove that he's one of these top dogs, just like Raymond Murataya just did.
I'm going to have a note card on the desk that says Jermaine Ortiz.
Spell it. Does it have an R? Does it have an R?
No.
Okay, well then I'm wrong.
You are wrong. Jermaine Ortiz. All right. There's a championship fight at the top of this card on Saturday, but there are 2 other championship fights, one at 126 and one at 160. Let's start with the fight at 160 because I think this is the most intriguing fight maybe on the card because of the names you've got fighting for this belt at 160. Carlos Adames, the WBC 160-pound champion. He is about a year removed from that somewhat controversial draw against Hamza Shiraz over in Saudi Arabia. He's fighting Ammo Williams, a guy that at times has shown an enormous amount of talent and at times has looked really vulnerable. The last fight he had against Ivan Vasquez, we called that fight not good. Not good. Got the stoppage against Vasquez. It was a late replacement but it wasn't a great performance. Now Ammo is stepping in with a former 154-pound champion, a 160-pound champion, an experienced guy, a guy I know you know pretty well in Adames. But I think Ammo's got a real shot here. I think this particular style and this particular opponent is probably the best opponent for him at 160. What do you think?
I think you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I think you never laced up a pair of gloves and got punched in the face.
That's true.
I think
been punched in the face.
I think
times,
Adames is one of these fighters. I love watching Adames fight. You know, this is probably going to be the only knockout on the card. Ammo has a puncher's chance. He's a tall, 6'1" southpaw. If the only person to hurt and beat Adames was a tall southpaw and Patrick Teixeira, but he learned a lot from that. And that was a slugfest. I don't think Adames should be slugging it out like that. He's good when he's power boxing on the front foot. Ammo, for me, I've never seen him develop. I like Ammo a lot, man. He's a good kid. We love watching him fight. He's always going for the knockouts, but he has no defense, man. He doesn't move his upper body. He loads up on every shot. A veteran like Carlos Adames or any veteran will pick a guy apart like that. You need to disguise your power. You need to fight with speed. You need to have footwork. You need to have upper body movement. Ammo Williams, and hence his nickname, just goes for glory, man. Everything's, guns blazing. You can't do that against veterans. You can't do that against Adames, who has a heavy resume. I was going down to Carlos Adames' resume.
Good fighters on that resume.
Damn good fighters.
Yeah.
He's beat quality opponents. Ammo hasn't beat one quality opponent, former champion. So this is just two totally different fighters on totally different levels. And because of that, this is probably the only fight I see a knockout. Ammo has a puncher's chance, but the odds are that Carlos Adames is going to have his number.
Do you think that there's anything to the idea that Adames might be a little shop worn, that he's only 31 years old, but he's been in some tough fights, you know? I mean, the Teixeira fight was certainly a tough fight. Shiraz went the distance, full 12 rounds. Didn't get beat up in that fight. It was a full 12-round fight. Like, he's been around for a while.
And he won that fight.
Look, not that Ammo is a big 160-pounder, but, Adames came up from 154. He's not the biggest of 160s either. Look, if you look at the champions that are out there, but before the Janibek incident, like he had 2 belts. I thought Janibek was the worst matchup for him. Janibek would have been bad news for Ammo. That would have been like a Hamza type fight. Lara would have been okay, but Lara's tricky and he's physical, and I thought that would have been not great. I think Adames is the best fight for Ammo Williams. We saw it before we came into the studio. We're in the hotel lobby. Sam Kikowski was there, the manager for Ammo Williams. He was telling me this guy's had a great camp, man. Like 7.5 weeks with Kevin Cunningham, who we know is a great trainer, disciplinarian, gets his guys focused and locked in. I just think Ammo's going to put on a fight, man. I think Ammo's going to look, and look, I don't know who I'm picking yet for this fight, but I think Ammo is going to bring the very best of him. Whatever that is, we're going to get the very best of Ammo Williams.
I'm going to ask you, when have you seen the best of Ammo Williams? We've called all his fights since he was, 3, 4, 5-0? We've called all his fights. When was the best?
I thought his best performance was against Kieran Conway on the Canelo Golovkin undercard in 2022.
And he still got hit in that fight.
He did, but Kieran Conway is a good B-level middleweight.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and Ammo didn't just...
B- at most,
Okay, but Ammo didn't blow him away like with power. Ammo boxed him in that fight, won a decision in that fight. That showed me a little bit of something. There have been other times when I haven't been impressed. The Hamza Shiraz fight was not good. His last fight against Ivan Vasquez, maybe he just took Vasquez lightly because he was like a friend and kind of a club fighter, but he didn't look good in that fight. So we've seen a lot of variance from Ammo Williams. I just think based on what I've been hearing from his manager and some others, and I don't know, I think that there's some miles on the tires of Carlos Adames. I do. And I think Ammo, as a younger guy, as a fresher guy, I think he has the potential to take advantage of that.
Hey, listen, man, I like Ammo. When we interview him, he's articulate, he's sophisticated. He
always got a dog.
He always has his dog. He's
got a kid now, though.
Probably new father. Look, man, I'm pulling for him. I like Ammo, but I just haven't seen enough. I remember I pulled him aside one time and I asked him, I go, hey, man, why don't you work on defense more? Why don't you work your upper body? I pulled Kevin Cunningham aside. I'm like, dude, this guy could be so good if he works on defense. And then, Cunningham tells me He's just stubborn. He likes to be offensive, hence his nickname, Ammo. Man, they should change that damn nickname because it's getting to his head. He should go into more like Ammo Guerrilla Warfare Williams. He should pounce on dudes, man. He shouldn't go guns blazing, punch for punch, because he's getting hit in the mix. Yes, most of the time he's a heavier puncher because he has the size, the youth, and the kid could take a punch. But man, Adames can give a punch. Adames has fought the better opponents, and he could set up the punches better. Yeah, man. If Ammo Williams comes out and he's stiff like he normally is, very erect, and he's not ducking his knees and he's not moving his upper body, he might get stopped by Adames.
Maybe. He also could just blitz Adames too. Maybe stop him in the way Teixeira took it to him.
That ain't happening.
All right. Let's see what happens there. The other championship fight at 126, the vacant WBC title, Brute Shushu Carrington taking on Carlos Castro. I have absolutely no idea how Castro was in line for this title shot. His last fight was a competitive loss, and it was over, I want to say, almost 16 months ago. At this point, it was September of 2024 against Stephen Fulton. But here we are with Shushu getting a shot at the title against Carlos Castro. I like Shushu a lot in this fight. I think he's a real talent. I mean, he's been a career-long fighter at 126 pounds. He's been with Top Rank his entire career. They have matched him flawlessly as they brought him up the ranks. And even though Castro's sneaky good, knocked down Fulton in that fight in 2024, I don't see it in Castro. I think Shushu, to me, it's just a question of, can he stop him in this fight? I think he can outbox him like 9-3 type of scorecard. Can he stop him is my question. Am I being too disrespectful to Carlos Castro? It's mostly because I believe that Shushu is the real deal at 126.
If Shushu, I can't say Shushu. If Carrington,
okay.
Why do you call him by his nickname?
That's
it just
his
sounds
nickname.
Foofy.
It's a great nickname.
It sounds foofy.
It's a great nickname.
Where does it come from?
You call yourself the Latin snake all the time.
I get it, but where does Shushu come from?
I don't know. Ask him.
Okay, Carrington. If Carrington could stop this dude under 6 and send a message and knock him out before the other champions that Castro lost against, he's only lost to champions.
Yep.
The dude has championship experience.
I agree.
He could take a punch. So if Carrington could actually knock him out under 6, then he makes a statement. Then it's like, okay, I did something Figueroa couldn't do. I did something the other champions couldn't do.
Fulton, yeah.
Stephen Fulton's another one. So
and Fulton looked great. This is like the one area of uncertainty, one pocket of uncertainty that I have. Fulton looked terrible against Castro in his first fight at 126. He followed it up by blitzing Figueroa in that rematch. And I'm thinking to myself, like, was Fulton just that bad in the fight against Castro, or was Castro maybe better than I give him credit for? It's just like he's been off for so long. He's been off for over a year. And now he's going up against a young, fresh 126 pounder. Carrington's got Kay Caroma in his corner. I think he's an excellent trainer. I don't know. I just think that Shushu is on a different level than Castro.
Well, look, Carrington reminds me of another Brooklyn boy, another Brooklyn boxer, Richardson Hitchens. Hitchens is the type of guy that can stay in control the entire fight with the jab, with his natural ability, with his footwork. Carrington is from that same, cut from that same Brooklyn boxer cloth.
Brownsville.
There you go. So these dudes they don't take chances if they're in control of a fight. But if you turn them into a fight, that Brooklyn boy comes out and they can't fight. They got chips on their shoulders. But when you're as gifted as Carrington is, when you're as gifted as Hitchens and so many other fighters from this area and that borough, man, they like to show out. They like to show out. They like to jab. They like to go rounds. They like that environment, man. Not everyone's like a puncher, from this neck of wood. Look, Bali Malinaji, another Brooklyn guy, sticks with the jab. He knows how to dominate. These guys know how to box, man. They've had long careers, and I think Carrington is cut from that amateur cloth as well. So look, man, I think if he wants to send a statement, put a little bit more pressure on a guy like Castro, who's a little long in the tooth. If you can send a statement to the 3 champions he lost to and stop him under 6, that's how you catch everyone's attention. That's how you turn heads here in New York, and then send the message to Hitchens as well.
Well, we need to have unification fights at 126. I was talking about this even before this Carrington fight came up. It is, look, all these guys want to crack Inoue when he moves up, win multiple titles. Like Nick Ball's doing a title defense, Angelo Leo, Rafael Espinoza, these guys are all out there.
Or be exciting.
But even still, I don't know why, none of these guys have enormous fan bases.
Nope.
So, if you don't have that enormous fan base to draw someone like Inoue in, you might as well have a couple of belts to go with it.
That or a big mouth. A big mouth can
I
get
get
you
it,
something that a
but
belt
like these are
can't.
not. But my point is, these should not be that difficult fights to make. Like Carrington's with Top Rank. Nick Ball is with Queensberry. Top Rank and Queensberry do business all the time. If Carrington wins, make that fight happen. Rafael Espinoza, is he still with Top Rank? I forget, but he's been with Top Rank. That's a fight that you can make. Angelo Leo out there, not making any money for some of these fights. These are not challenging fights to put together. I want to see before the end of this year a unified champion at 126. Because I think Inoue is staying at 122 for the rest of this year. He's probably going to fight Nakatani, and then maybe the big one, Bam Rodriguez. People talking about it now, Sergio. No, you're so down on. Don't do that, Bam Rodriguez. But I think it's going to happen whether you like it or not. And then in 2027, somebody at 126 should have 2 or 3 titles, and they could say it in a way, hey, you want to crack at becoming undisputed at 126? Hey, I've got 2 belts. I'm the first guy that should be in line to fight you.
Who is going to be that someone? I want the Chris Mannix prediction. You think it's going to be Shushu? Do you think it's going to be?
I think that, wow, man.
I like Espinoza.
Espinoza's so big. He's so big. He's a 6'1", 126.
Espinoza is tall. He's long. He's
crazy, powerful with a killer instinct.
And he's a Mexican, man. Mexicans don't grow that tall in that weight division. He's going to be hard to beat, man. I think he'll give anybody issues, anybody problem from that height, that reach, that fighting style. He's like a Sebastian Fundora, you know? Yeah. He's going to be hard to beat, man. Hard to beat. So I think Espinoza is the main guy. And aside from Monster Inoue at 122, I think Espinoza is the one to beat.
All right. I mentioned this was a loaded weekend, and it is. Maybe the most loaded weekend in terms of caliber of fights that we've had in some time. In Puerto Rico, on Saturday, we have a title unification fight between Xander Zayas and Abbas Baru. What I love about this fight is that both of these guys won their titles in their last fights. And now both these guys are going straight into a unification fight. I'm sure they're getting paid for it. I've heard the tickets have been selling really well in Puerto Rico, so it's going to be a great event. But you know, more often than not, a guy wins a title, he's looking for a nice, easy title defense right off the jump to do something like that. But both these guys going straight at it, trying to become the only unified champion at 154 pounds. We know Zayas, right? Like Zayas has been on the big stage for some time now, fighting at Madison Square Garden, picked up his world title in his last fight at MSG. A very good boxer, not someone with a lot of power, but a good boxer. Baru, to me, is a bit of a wild card. He's only got 1 loss on his resume, and that was a split decision. But he picked up that title in his last fight, beating Yoenis Tellez. That was a fight for Tellez to win. Like, that was his showcase. That was an MVP show. That was supposed to be for him to defend that. That, by the way, the interim title. That wasn't even a real title at the time. That was back when Crawford was the full champion at 154. Now he's in a unification fight. The money, the smart money right now is on Zayas to outbox him. You've seen Baru. Do you give him a chance to win this fight?
No. I'm not a fan of Abbas Baru. I don't even like his name. He has, you know, I always talk about Dalton Smith. Some guys have the name, right? And you could see it in lights.
What's your name?
Like
Sergio
Dirk
Mora?
Diggler. You could see it in neon
Dirk
lights.
Diggler? We're going
I'm just
that
saying,
route? Okay.
you know, you could see it in lights. I'm just, you know, that's what he said in the movie. Abbas Baru. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I can't see it in lights. I don't like his fighting style. He has no defense. He's just that glove up defense. He's not. He shouldn't even be in the mix of the names that we're talking about. Xander Zayas is at the bottom of the list of champions, of guys that are the goods at that weight division. But he's Puerto Rican. Yeah. But he's undefeated.
And he's talented. Like,
and
he's
good
a
looking
skilled
and he's
boxer.
talented.
He's a skilled boxer. I think his biggest problem is that he doesn't have the kind of power that can keep better guys off you.
True. And when you're accustomed to seeing Puerto Ricans, they're left hook guys. They're breaking down guys. Xander Zayas is more of a boxer than a puncher. But I like him. I've always liked Xander Zayas. I think they moved him up nicely. I think they got him to a world championship. Top Rank does incredible jobs moving up their fighters, best matchmakers in the game. So now it's time to cash out. This is a good stay busy fight. Shouldn't be difficult for Xander Zayas to outbox this guy, maybe even stop him late in that fight.
This guy's got some power late, though. He dropped Tellez.
It's not big power, man. It's grind you down power.
Dropped him in the 10th round.
It's grind you down power. Guys like that, I love fighting guys that always come forward with that defense because they're always going to be in front of you. You can get angles on them because they have their gloves up and you can just disappear and catch angles on them. So if you got footwork, you can just flank them and beat the hell out of them. If Xander Zayas practices out maneuvering and using his footwork and surprising them from angles, I'm not saying he'll stop him, but he could beat the hell out of this guy and maybe have the referees step in or maybe bust him and bloody him up, cut him up. Late round stoppage or a decision, but Zayas all the way, man. I like this kid.
You know, you are a big, you're outspoken, I should say, about the hometown curse. This is a Xander Zayas, basically a hometown
Because it's
type
true.
of fight. All right, so do you factor that into all this? That Xander is going to his backyard, kind of a homecoming fight for him in Puerto Rico. How big a factor could that be?
Mira, Xander, te voy a decir, concéntrate cuando estás en Puerto Rico porque no quiero que te den una paliza en tu país.
English, please.
I said he better have his he better be focused in Puerto Rico because he didn't have his fan base. And if he doesn't focus on the task at hand, even a guy like Baru can make him look bad. Even in looking bad, you lose. You know, you go to your hometown, it's going to be a big, you know, Puerto Rican fest. And then you go out there and you struggle with a guy like, you know, Baru. Nah, man, focus, get the knockout. That's how you keep selling tickets. And then you come back here and fill out, you know, MSG with another big name.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, he's getting a good payday for this fight against Baru. If he wins this fight, he's going to get the best payday of his career times like 5. Because, look, the Virgil Boots fight, I think it's going to happen. Fingers crossed. I think it's going to happen.
I hope so.
The winner of that fight becomes a natural opponent for Xander Zayas. If it's Boots, could do the fight in New York City. Huge event. Sometime in June, the Philly fans will hop on the Amtrak, hop on the Greyhound, head up to New York. The Puerto Rican fans, they're already here. Xander's fought in New York a bunch. That is a big room type of fight.
And look, you're setting up everything for the upset and the hometown curse.
I know.
So that's what I just said about, you know,
but also,
Xander.
it's, and just to be, you know, take both sides. If it's Virgil, Vegas, Mexico, Puerto Rico, great rivalry, of course. Like I can see that being in the back of his mind. And he might be looking at a Boss Baru, who again is good. One loss by split decision. I forget who he lost to. It was a good opponent. I was just looking at the other day.
I was looking at him this morning. Okay. He's not good, Mannix. He has no upper body movement. He's stiff. He fights like Christian and Billy, right? With his hands up,
Christian
and he's
Billy's
very
a world
aggressive. And Billy's just freakishly strong, and he's in your face, and he's nonstop. Abbas is not as strong as an Billy, but he tries to fight exactly like him. I don't know what it is about that style. You know, I don't know if it's Germans and French trying to pick up that style. They have white shoulders. They hide behind the big forearms. Man, I'll pick guys like that apart. You know, you don't load up on punches. You use speed and you use footwork. If Xander Zayas can do a little bit of all that, not concentrate on power. These guys relish power. Guys that keep their earmuff defense, they want you to punch really hard at that guard, and then they can catch and counter. But if you just touch those gloves and you use speed and you dig them to the body and you move around the ring, just keep running them into shots, you can embarrass guys like that with the earmuff defense. So if Xander Zayas is on the back foot, boxing, not loading up, he's gonna give this kid a paint job.
All right, that fight will be on the Top Rank Fast channel. That is going to be the broadcast network for that fight. So I think they're going to do a ring walk well before the Teofimo Shakur fight. So people get a chance to watch both. You'll also get a chance, and I can't believe we're finishing with this. The other 154-pound title is on the line over in the UK, where your boy, Bakram Mutazaliev.
Did you see a stare down?
I did see this. I was going to get to that.
That dude's scary, man. That's one scary Russian. He looks like oh man, he's a perfect boogeyman in a scary movie. You know, he has a poker face. He has those dark eyes. He doesn't smile. He fights like he looks. He fights like he looks, Mannix, and he has the name Bakram Mutazaliev.
I try not to look too much into a stare down, but that event that Matchroom had, where Bakram is just standing there, locked eyes on Josh Kelly, and Josh Kelly in that moment reminded me of Peter McNeely against Mike Tyson. Remember when McNeely fought Tyson, and Tyson was just staring daggers at him, and his eyes were like moving back and forth while McNeely was bouncing back and forth, and McNeely had this kind of shit-eating grin on his face that time. That's kind of what Josh Kelly looked like there. Like, Josh Kelly looked like a man that suddenly realized what he was in with and what kind of opponent he was in with. Now, Kelly's a good fighter. He's been on a winning streak of late, but he does have a loss on his resume. He had that fight at the Garden against, remember Ray Robinson? We called that fight. It was on the AJ Ruiz undercard. I thought Ray Robinson won that fight. Like, I thought he beat Josh Kelly. So I don't know. I don't think Josh Kelly is a good enough boxer to outbox Bakram, and I don't think he has the power to hurt him. Now, you and I have talked about this a lot. I don't think that Bakram is as terrifying as he looked against Tim Tszyu. I thought Tim Tszyu was a stationary target, and Bakram just teed off on him. All the fights I've seen from Bakram before, they've been super competitive. Not he hasn't been a killer in a lot of those fights. So I don't think he's this must avoid type of guy. But I just don't think Josh Kelly has it. I don't think Josh Kelly has the power or the skill set to beat Bakram on Saturday.
No, he doesn't. And Bakram is scary. And any boxer, any champion, any former champion could tell you this dude has great timing on his right hand.
But isn't it easy to have timing when the guy's just there? Like Tim Tszyu did not move in that fight. He was just standing there.
Easier said than done. This guy's scary, man. He is a scary fighter. And Josh Kelly, he's a cutie. He's a good boxer. He has that Olympic pedigree. I actually like Josh Kelly. If he had any kind of pop, I would pick him against Bakram to do well. But he doesn't have, I think the world of this Bakram Mursalayev, man. I think the only thing that he does have going against him is inactivity. He's been inactive a year already, and I think Josh Kelly can start off fast with quick feet and speed and outbox Bakram the first half of the fight, but then he just keeps chugging along, getting closer and closer with those right hands. He's taller, he's longer, and he's definitely stronger. Once he starts touching Josh Kelly's not going to have enough to keep him off. I see a late round stoppage.
I wonder, I guess the only variable I would say is that Bakram has not fought since that Tim Tszyu fight.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
Yeah, over a year. I think that was in the fall of 2024, so he's been out of the ring all of 2025. It's not like Kelly's been that active either. He had one fight in 2025, so is ring rust going to be a factor with both those guys? But look,
not with Bakram.
No, you don't think?
Ring rust affects boxers, movers, guys that rely on timing and speed. Bakram will grind you down. He's not on his toes bouncing around. Josh Kelly is. So, no, Bakram's not going to be affected by 1 year layoff.
I tell you, it's great that the 154-pounders are active right now. The 2 championship fights, Boots and Virgil probably coming your way late March, maybe into April. And you start talking about big unification fights early next year. That's what everybody wants to see. And Sebastian Fundora is in that mix. He's coming back March, I think 28th, I want to say, against Keith Thurman. That should be a weird fight to watch. But he's going to be looking for big fights, and he's an easy guy to make a deal with as well. Last thing for you before we go. The Tyson Fury fight's official. Arslan Makhmudov, who another guy that looks pretty scary when he gets into the ring. Makhmudov, you thought this was going to be the right choice for Fury. He made a lot of sense. He just beat Dave Allen his last time out. He's a big guy, so if you're preparing to fight Anthony Joshua, at least you're fighting a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", whatever he really is. This the right decision. Going to be on Netflix too. Another twist in the Tyson Fury fighting saga. But Tyson Fury making his return, first time since December of 2024. He's going to take on Makhmudov. Do you think that Makhmudov is going to pose any real challenge to Fury?
No. And Queensberry or whoever's in charge of Tyson Fury's promotion, they must have heard our podcast because I told you Makhmudov will be the perfect opponent. He's big, he's strong, he's stiff, he's slow, easy to hit. Tyson Fury's going to embarrass this guy. Every punch he throws, he's going to land. And if he wants to go for the knockout early, he can get it. If he wants to entertain the crowd like we know the Gypsy King likes doing, he can do that. This is the ideal tailor-made matchup for Tyson Fury to look great, get a knockout, and not only that, but stick up for his fellow Brit that Makhmudov just beat in the White Rhino. So all the stars are aligned right there for Fury to have a great comeback, and that's great matchmaking and awesome promotion.
Yeah, I don't think Makhmudov is going to want to bang with him a little, and I don't think that's the right strategy against Tyson Fury. Like we saw a tall heavyweight in Otto Wallin give Fury some problems. Fury wound up winning that fight by decision, had a nasty cut on his face when he fought Wallin, but I don't think that Makhmudov has that type of talent. Like Makhmudov he's a decorated amateur. Was he Olympian? Like he was a really good amateur fighter. So he's got the skill set, but he just hasn't shown it in the pros. And the losses he's picked up, whether it's to Caballel or I forget who else he had lost to, but he's shown to be vulnerable. I guess the only thing you have to say is Fury washed? Do you think that Fury has nothing left, and maybe that exposed itself in this fight?
I don't know, man. Even if he was washed, even if he is, past his prime, Fury should box circles around this guy. Yeah. I don't think anything of Makhmudov. Makhmudov is like Frankenstein with boxing gloves. He's stiff, and he's scary, but he has no kind of quick twitch muscle, no speed. He gets hit a lot, but he keeps coming after you like Frankenstein. So I think Fury picks him apart.
All right. You ready to go back into the cold weather?
Man, I hate this weather. I don't know how you New Yorkers can do this, man. I'm a LA kid, man.
You know what we have to do now? We have to go rent tuxedos.
We're going to be like Dumb and Dumber.
We're not wearing those tuxes.
Renting tuxedos. Let's go, man.
All right.